Why do the nicest people often end up the most broken? Why do the kindest souls, the peacemakers, the givers, the listeners, get torn apart by the very people they try to love? Carl Jung warned us, people will do anything, no matter how absurd, to avoid facing their own soul. And often, that anything is the destruction of someone gentle. Tonight we explore why this happens and how you stop it. Let's begin. You were raised to be nice, to smile when things fell off, to stay quiet when your body screamed no, to say yes when your soul was begging you to leave. You learned that love meant self-sacrifice, that speaking up made things worse, that the best way to stay safe was to disappear into what others needed. And for a long time, it worked. You avoided conflict, you soothed chaos, you kept people close by pleasing them. But something was dying inside you, and no one seemed to notice because you were always so nice. The world rewards the persona, that mask you wear to survive, the version of you that's easy to digest, the peacemaker, the helper, the healer. But Carl Jung warned us, the persona is not the self. It's a compromise between who we are and what the world demands we be. And the more you cling to the persona, the more you abandon your soul. That's the real reason nice people get destroyed. Not because they're weak, but because they're split, torn between truth and performance. You feel it, don't you? That ache after every conversation where you didn't speak your truth. That resentment beneath your smile. That exhaustion from carrying everyone else's pain, while yours goes untouched. That's the cost of being nice in a world that rewards masks. Because niceness, without boundaries, isn't virtue, it's self-erasure. And self-erasure is a slow kind of death. But this didn't start with adulthood. It started early. Maybe you were the child who had to manage the moods of a parent, the one who learned that being good kept the peace, the one who became hyper-attuned to other people's pain, but numb to your own. That's not a personality. That's a survival strategy. And Jung taught us. What we repress in childhood becomes the shadow in adulthood, the part of you that's angry, the part of you that's fed up, the part of you that secretly wants to scream, "Why is it always me?" But you don't, because you're afraid that if you stop being nice, no one will love what's underneath. Here's the truth. Nice people don't get destroyed because they're kind. They get destroyed because they mistake self-abandonment for kindness, because they confuse being liked with being loved, because they were never taught that love without truth isn't love, it's performance. And eventually, the performance collapses. So how do you stop it? How do you protect your kindness without destroying yourself? Carl Jung gave us the roadmap. It begins with the shadow. The shadow is every part of you you've learned to hide to be accepted. Your anger, your jealousy, your boundaries, your truth. Jung said, to confront a person with their shadow is to show them their own light. You don't integrate your shadow by suppressing it further. You integrate it by listening to it. What does your anger want to say? What does your exhaustion reveal? What does your resentment point to? Not as flaws, but as messages, clues, keys to your individuation. You are not here to be nice. You're here to be whole. Whole means complexity. Wholeness means contradiction. It means allowing yourself to be both kind and clear, loving and honest, forgiving and self-protective. This is what Jung called individuation, the process of becoming who you truly are, not who you were trained to be. So what does it look like in practice? You start by catching the fawn response, the moment you say yes when you mean no, the moment you laugh at something that hurts, the moment you smile as you collapse inside. Catch it, name it, not to shame yourself, but to wake up. Jung said, until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life, and you will call it fate. Your fawning is not fate, it's a learned defense. And now, You get to unlearn it. The second step, feel your anger. Nice people are afraid of anger. They think it means they're becoming like the people who hurt them. But Jung reminded us, anger isn't evil. It's boundary intelligence. It's your soul saying, this isn't right. This isn't safe. This isn't mine. You don't have to express it violently, but you do have to listen to it, because suppressed anger doesn't disappear. It festers. It becomes depression. It becomes people-pleasing. It becomes chronic fatigue. Your body is tired of screaming while your mouth stays shut. Let the shadows speak. The third step, stop saving people who benefit from your silence. You've been the emotional translator, the peacekeeper, the one who fixes it, smooths it, holds it together. But ask yourself, who does this serve? Do they grow? Do they change? Do they ever ask how you feel? Or do they keep taking because you keep offering yourself? Jung said, no tree can grow to heaven unless its roots reach down to hell. This means we must face our internal darkness, our people-pleasing, our compulsions, our wounds, to grow into our power. It means learning to say, I am not your emotional sponge. I am not your therapist. I am not your fixer. I am a soul, not a service. The final step, reclaim yourself, not your mask, not your trauma response, not your public persona, but yourself. The integrated, centered you, the you who doesn't shrink when challenged, the you who can be disliked and still feel worthy, the you who would rather lose a relationship than lose herself again. That's the self Jung pointed to, not perfect, but whole, and wholeness is what saves you. So let them say you've changed. You have. Let them call you selfish. You're self-possessed. Let them say you're not nice anymore. You're not. You're real now. And real is what the world actually needs. Not another person sacrificing themselves for approval. Not another kind soul burned out by boundaryless giving, but someone rooted in reality. Rooted in self. Rooted in truth. And here's what happens when you start living from this place. You lose people. People who only liked you when you were small, who fed off your guilt, who saw your empathy as a weakness to exploit. Let them go. They were never loving you. They were loving the version of you who didn't yet love herself. But now, you do. And that version of you, the integrated you, will attract relationships rooted in reciprocity, not extraction. In truth, not illusion. In depth, not dependency. This is the spiritual purpose of being a nice person who gets destroyed. It's not punishment, it's revelation. It shows you where you were split, where you were wounded, where you betrayed yourself to survive. And it invites you home, home to your voice, your power, your sacred wholeness. You will never again confuse approval with love. You will never again trade your truth for connection, because now you know the only love worth keeping is the love that honors yourself. Carl Jung once said, I would rather be whole than good. That's the mantra, that's the map, that's the healing. Not to be the good girl, not the golden boy, not the one who always smiles, but the one who sees clearly, speaks honestly, loves fiercely, from the center of their being, even if it costs them comfort, even if it costs them connection, even if it costs them their old identity, because in its place, you get yourself back, and that self is worth everything. If this message resonated, if it made you breathe deeper, comment truth below and subscribe for weekly insight from Jung's timeless teachings. You are not broken for being kind, but your kindness must now be conscious, rooted, fierce, not nice, but real, not passive, but whole, and your clarity will set you free.